All right, so welcome to the Cheech and Manny Music Show. We have an exciting show for all of you today. I'm joined by my co-host, the phenomenal Cheech.
Oh, thank
Cheech,
you.
what's going on?
Manny, how are you? How's everything? I'm looking forward to this show on
I'm excited.
sampling, part one and two.
Yeah,
And we have a special guest direct from the temple, our
one of our
good
temple, one of our temple citizens.
uh, our good friend Mark, who
What's up?
who actually Mark gave us the idea for this show. Thank you, Mark.
We out here. I'm a
I,
fan of the show.
I appreciate
Shout out to everyone. Shout out my moms.
it. Nice.
We're here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. You know what? If it wasn't for Mark, we wouldn't be doing this show. And then later on, eventually, well, the sampling show, and then because I don't know if you're a Rush fan. Hopefully you're a Rush fan now.
I'm with Devontae on this one.
Oh no!
Oh no! All right, cut it. We're gonna have to...
Cut it. Cut it. Take it back.
Oh, but Mark, Tom Sawyer. Come on, man. At least that song, Tom
Well,
Sawyer.
here's my take. I won't. Can I curse?
Yeah.
I won't talk smack about Rush because obviously I don't know much about them. So I'm just messing with you guys. So I'm open to Rush.
Awesome. Not like some other people, but we won't.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that guy.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about
Yeah,
that.
some DJ or something.
That guy will be. He'll be on part two on this show because a lot of people enjoyed him, Devontae, on the rap history of rap. He did a great job. So we'll give a couple shout outs. I think Manny, you should give the first shout out because the compliment that you got, which I loved
Oh
from
my goodness.
a great friend
I
and
know.
a follower.
Fellow temple worker.
Yep.
But shout out to Joe Silkman. You left your comments honestly mean the world to me, to Cheech. Even Mark, even your comments like really mean a lot. Particularly Joe Silkman's was really touching.
It was.
I think I commented such a high compliment coming from a fellow, individual who's highly intelligent.
Oh,
So for Joe Silkman is probably like us, expert in all things rock and roll and music, and just phenomenal human being. So Joe Silkman, thank you.
Shout out to Joe.
thank you, Joe, for those kind words and supporting the show and everybody else who supports the show. I'm going to give a shout out to Potter's Field BX. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All right. So we'll get into I want to make sure it's my, I don't fall out and it's just my head. So I'm looking good, Manny.
Good. So keep it steady.
All right, steady. All right. Okay. Fuck. My notes. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the first group who invented sampling. Do you guys know who that is?
Yes.
And who is that, Mark?
Actually, no.
Manny?
I know old ones.
So it's a German group, and they're pretty ahead of their time.
They were in. You know what's
They
amazing?
were
They're
way ahead of their time.
way ahead of their time. They're called Kraftwerk. And they were on Capitol fucking Records.
Cheech, our listeners, right? Because I think will know who Kraftwerk is, because they're pretty famous. They have one very iconic album, and Mark, I would highly recommend you listen to them.
Oh, for sure.
I'll show you while Cheech is talking. I'll share the album name. Cheech, you know that iconic album?
Well, the one I was listening to was their first album, just called Kraftwerk, 1970.
That's their debut, yeah.
There's Kraftwerk 2. I think that's like 70 or 72. I mean, I'll just talk a little bit about why.
Cheech, really quick. Iconic album that's my opinion, must listen to, Trans Europe Express.
That like late 70s?
That was 1977.
Yep.
And Africa Bambaataa took a lot of samples from that. The hip hop artist. Yep. Yeah, in the 90s. He took, I'm sorry, like late 80s, 90s. Took a lot of samples from that album.
Africa Bambaataa is early 80s. Planet Rock.
Oh, so he's an innovator. Yep. You're right.
He's definitely an innovator. So the cool thing about Kraftwerk, why I think that they're the fathers of sampling, is they use tape loops. And I don't know if they used quarter-inch tape, like when you go in the back in the day, we'd go in the recording studio and we record on those big reel-to-reel kind of things. Or I
I was gonna
don't.
say Cheech, this is before computers, so everything was
Yeah,
analog, correct?
all
Mm,
analog.
So literally it's cut and snip, like
Cut.
literally.
Yeah, yeah,
manual stuff.
Yep.
yeah. So what they did is they would use the tape and they would loop it, and that gave it a sample. And they would also have electronic instruments. They had organs, violins, percussion, and a ton of keyboards. So and they were influenced by rock, jazz, and electronic music. So I would check out Kraftwerk 1970, Kraftwerk 2, and then the one you had said, Manny.
Yeah, Trans Europe Express, which is our most iconic, just my opinion, most accessible album.
Oh
They're
yeah.
pretty out there. They're
Oh,
they're you know,
they're a lot like I don't know if you guys ever heard of John Cage.
no.
John
I
Cage
don't know who that is.
is a 20th century composer who was called there was a movement in the 50s and 60s called avant-garde, and he was like
Mm.
king of avant-garde. And these guys
Mm.
were definitely influenced by John Cage. And they're credited to be the foundations for EDM, techno, house, and industrial music.
Oh, there we go.
So Kraftwerk gets the they're the band for innovating sampling, which
They're
would lead.
pioneers.
Was that Mark?
They're pioneers, basically.
Oh, they're the pioneers. They were the guys. So I'm gonna ask Mark a question. Mark, what do you think is the three biggest sampled songs in rap music? And I know you know one of them.
Yeah, I know one for sure. The one that I sent you.
Yep. And who is that?
It's the I actually have notes too. It's the Amen Brother by the Winstons.
Exactly.
And particularly it's the part where they do the drum break.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And like if you listen to the song, it sounds so simple, but the way like I guess you could say like modern artists like samples it, like the way they use it is just like so in the mix of the actual recording of the songs and all that. Like you wouldn't even think that it was a sample.
Right, right.
And the fact that I'm sorry, the fact that it was like made like back in the day and it still like corresponds to a lot of music nowadays, just
Oh,
crisp.
I mean, it was used a lot in the 80s, and then in the 90s is when a lot of these artists used it. Biggie Smalls used it.
Yeah,
Uh, I think who else was I reading that used it? Oh, Dr. Dre and
Dr. Dre. Yep,
okay. And then the other two is the Funky Drummer,
funky drummer.
which is James Brown, which is the most sampled drum.
Yes,
And the other one, which is so you got rappers sampling old soul records and stuff back in the day, like the Winstons and James Brown. Then in the
yep.
then thousands, like in your guys' here, you were listening to rap. They started to sample rap music, which I found interesting. And who do you think is the most sampled rap artist?
Most sampled rap artists.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's a hard question because there's like so many.
Well, this from my research, this is what I came up with. He's probably the most famous rapper of all time.
Mm, like I want to say Tupac, but I don't think it's him.
Close.
Maybe Biggie.
Yep, Biggie Smalls. From
Figured.
from what my research came up with, Biggie Smalls is the most popular modern rapper being
Should have
sampled.
wore the shirt.
Yeah, well, next time. Oh, and
Yeah,
props to the black shirt, man. We're the black shirt brothers, man.
telling you, that's my
Gotta love
cheats. You know.
it.
Now I will
Okay,
say now before we continue though, so sampling. So it's interesting because essentially they're not creating like music from an actual instrument, right? This is all kind of how would you describe sampling? Like this is a question for either of you.
Mark, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm pretty sure I explained this to you, Cheech, the a couple weeks back at work at the temple, rather. The way I see sampling is like taking something like taking music from your childhood or the way or like your upbringing and then putting it into your own art or like it's kind of like giving like homage to the music you had growing up kind of thing. It's like you know how like parents would like blast music and then the kids just like end up listening to it. I'm
Right,
like,
right,
oh, I love this song so much. I want to incorporate it into the art that I make. You know, that's how I see it.
right. That's a great way to put it. It's almost like the music that's being sampled is the instrument. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So if you take the Winstons and you take bits of that and you rap over it, or Kraftwerks, that's the guitar, the bass, or whatever, and you're just rapping over it.
Yes.
So I'm going to get into the early DJs who, we talked about Kraftwerks. They were the big ones. Then our man DJ Kool Herc,
The iconic.
the iconic
Yeah.
1973, he started sampling using extended breaks and instrumental sections to create a flow in the music. Now, it was kind of primitive, but it was still, prehistoric sampling. Then Grandmaster Flash took it to the next level, and you would have two records going at once. So he would have like, Good Times going, and then he'd put he would double it. So you'd hear two different songs going at the same time that were in the same rhythm. So that would be, second on the list. So okay, number 3, we talked about him earlier, Africa Bambaataa. He's known for taking small bits of songs. Like, so if Grandmaster was doing like 20, 30 seconds or the whole song, let's just say, then,
Yeah.
he would put in maybe 5 seconds.
Like snippets.
Yeah, the snippets of funk, soul, rock, and Kraftwerks. Planet Rock, I think, that's one of my favorite samples of all time. I mean, just so it almost sounds like a video game from the 80s.
Yeah,
when you listen to it,
that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
you
and
know,
he's sampling Kraftwerk, which is pretty
yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Think about like someone from like the hip hop artist sampling this obscure German band. I mean,
well,
Mm.
I got to give props to these guys.
yeah.
I'm not giving away my age, but they're 10 years older than me, so they grew up in the 70s.
Well,
You
I
know,
was gonna say Cheech, and just something to think about. Back in those days, just imagine Africa Bambaataa, and remind me, is he from Brooklyn?
I actually don't know where he's from.
Okay, either Queens or Brooklyn, and I could be totally wrong.
Yep.
So if somebody knows, they can comment and correct me. But I could see Africa Bambaataa going to a record shop, pulling out this Kraftwerk record, right, and listening to it, and somehow touched him on an artistic level, and realized, you know what? Let me create something out of this.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like that cool concept, right? That
yeah, total genius. Um, and then another guy, I never heard of him. Marley Marl. Have you ever heard of him?
Marley
sounds
Marl.
familiar.
I don't know. I do know him.
Oh, you know him?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
He was he took the drum machine to the next level. So he was sampling drum machines using a EMU SP12 sampler to create beats and instrumentals. And then, have you guys heard of the Bomb Squad?
I've heard of them, but I'm not like super big.
They got huge in the 80s, late 80s. I think they did stuff for Public Enemy and stuff. What they did is they kind of took what Grandmaster Flash did and took it to the next level. They layered things. What I mean by layering is like they'd have like 5 samples going on top of each other. It's like if I went in the recording studio with a guitar player, Metallica would do this, and they would have like 5 guitar tracks, and that's why it sounds full. So they give the artist that full, really full sound. And I think Public Enemy was one of the people that they worked with. Then Sonic Landscape. Now, do you guys agree with this? I think this is true. The first real rap song that used a sample would be the Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh yeah.
And that would be,
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be good times. And then Grandmaster Flash used. Actually, it's funny. He used, I think in the message, Blondie, sampled some Blondie, and Good Times as well. And then our man Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock did Kraftwerks. Just to throw a couple more out there that I love, I think it's one of the greatest. Run DMC, Walk This Way. You know that,
Mm,
right, Mark?
of course.
That's
No, what they did to that song too, which on top they sampled, they featured Aerosmith,
I
which
was
made
just
it.
about to say.
which is so cool. It's dude, that's a
Now
blending of two worlds.
I was a teenager, and I remember watching that video, and like I was like Aerosmith and Run DMC, and then they would sample the drum beat in the beginning, den 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 den, the guitar part. I mean, den 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 den, banana banana den. Genius, genius. I think it's one of the best samples ever. The Public Enemy, Bring the Noise, which they resampled with Anthrax. Then my favorite, I don't know if this is my second favorite, but as a bass player, I remember learning this. Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full.
Oh yeah.
You guys know that one?
Yep.
Yes.
I
And
love that song.
oh, it's genius.
Great song.
And the bass line comes from Dennis Edwards, Don't Look Away. Um, and then there's a few other ones, like NWA. They took P-Funk, the band Funkadelic, One Nation Under Groove. They would use that. So any questions or any comments about the history of hip hop sampling from Kraftwerk?
I think it's just interesting how heavy hip hop utilize sampling. Like it's probably the backbone,
Oh, it totally
you
is.
know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, because like I think instead of having musicians, they took records, and the records were their bands.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you know what's funny? This and we're gonna talk about this. I think in another episode.
Yeah.
I see the controversy of where this is heading, right?
Oh,
Because
bad. Yeah.
right because you know is this stealing or how are you paying homage to the artist you're sampling from? So
It,
just a little foreshadowing. This
I always love to compare
Like the
when
whole clearance thing.
what, what I didn't hear you, Mark.
Like the whole sampling clearance and all that. Like they got to pay money and all that stuff.
It,
That's like a whole conversation in
oh,
itself.
I have some lawsuits too. I looked up, but like I would take it like when Led Zeppelin took or Cream took a Willie Dixon song,
right,
you
right.
know, even like Albert King. Albert King sued Cream. Oh, and Muddy Waters sued Led Zeppelin. I'm pretty sure. I got to ask Bookman, the expert on that, but I'm pretty sure Muddy Waters did sue on Whole Lot of Love. I think he sued him.
Oh, he
And
actually sued him.
that's something that Joe Silkman could clarify in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Muddy Waters did sue them because
Mm.
they were taking the blues and just doing what the rappers did, creating their own thing over blues songs. Plant is quoting blues lyrics in these songs.
Mm.
No, Cream, and they did it a lot too. So that happened to
If,
the only band that paid in was Foghat for "I Just Want to Make Love to You" was a song that
Funny how you I don't mean to cut you off, but funny how you say that talking about like paying stuff and all that.
Mhm.
I read an article saying that Diddy, I think he pays Sting 5,000 a day for his iconic song.
even now.
oh,
I
even
I could
now.
be wrong, but that's like the biggest rumor of like around that song, like saying like yeah,
Well,
like that song
well,
got so big. Until this day, he's like paying 5,000 a day
No,
because
is
of
he
like
paying on royalties or from a lawsuit?
I'm not entirely sure, but it might be a lawsuit because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're in
well,
like
I'm
on
not.
good terms or whatever.
Well, we could probably search that up, or if somebody knows, please comment below. We'll
Yeah.
clarify.
Didn't
But I will say, but with um that song, Mark, I'll be missing you, right?
yeah.
Yep.
It's called by P Diddy, which was an homage to Notorious B.I.G. It's
Yes.
funny because that song, yeah, definitely heavily sampled it.
Yep.
So, and again, this will bring us to another, like, talking about the controversy. At what point do you completely rip off the song and, you know,
Yep.
don't really sample anymore? So,
Yes.
but I will say, going back, Cheech, what you're saying about um the early artists like Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
etc., sampling blues and sampling even a lot of Keith Richards from Rolling Stones, and miss a, a bunch of riffs from Robert Johnson,
Yeah. Or even
right?
Chuck Berry.
Even Chuck Berry, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. It opens up this can of worms, right? And
The rock guys did it before the rappers, and some of them got away with it, and then some of it, like that beginning to Johnny Be Good, that like that little like
The
you
yeah,
guitar riff. Yep.
yeah,
know that little that's not like sample, but every guitar player uses that in their vibrato, so they
Yeah.
buy it from it. You know what I mean? Is it stealing? I don't know. I don't think so. But with
it,
sample,
it,
it's
it opens up that can of worms, though.
it does. It
Hmm.
definitely does. So, to talk a little bit, we could jump ahead, Mark, to modern day like electronic bands, um, that are like Daft Punk and stuff that are using samples. So like there's so many genres in
Hmm.
I guess electronic. I don't know if this is all considered EDM or whatever, but this
Well, I
is
will say, well, Cheech, just before we move on there, there's a transitional period, right? Because at that point, I feel as though the hip hop artists
yeah.
using technology, right? So the DJ sets, and Devontae would know more about this because he actually plays. And I don't know, Mark, if you play around with the DJ sets and turntables.
Nope.
So, so physically, they would do the work. So the difference now with the electronic stuff is that computers get introduced.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now you have new tools and new ways to manipulate music. So
Hmm.
that's happening. That's
And
the transition. So not everything's EDM though. I don't know, Mark would agree. Not everything's EDM, but
right,
Um, to a certain degree, I do agree. Like when you mentioned that, like when actual like DJs like do sampling, like you can only do so much with like the turntables and all that.
yeah.
Like compared to like people who uses like computers, you can pitch it up, you can pitch it down, like mess with the semitones and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah,
I like how you said semitones because that goes back to a composer in that avant-garde era that I was talking about, like John Cage. This guy named Charles Ives. Have you ever heard of him, Manny?
No, no.
Charles Ives is there was this whole movement in like the after Stravinsky came out in like the 30s, the 40s. He would tune his piano in, well, not semitones, quarter tones, and it would give this odd sound. So it's almost like what these modern day sampler guys are doing. It has this freaky kind of tone. So it may go back as far as like Charles Ives just tuning his piano slightly out of key to give it that odd sound. I don't mean odd in a negative way, but like when you
No.
hear dubstep, the way that they do that pitch thing, it's
yep.
crazy. That shit sounds.
It's
So
like an eerie sound.
yeah, yeah. So this is just some of the genres, and there's so many. And maybe Mark, you can tell me about them. Obviously, dubstep I'm familiar with because of my kid. My kid got into it, and I was really fascinated by the tones. Okay, trap, hip hop, is that considered electronic? Is it?
No,
I don't
maybe
think so.
I don't think so.
No.
No, you wouldn't put that in there.
Not really, to be honest with you. I guess trap, you can say like a little bit of it, but I think most people would say no.
Okay.
No.
How about this thing? Future bass, which I found interesting. It uses heavy bass music. Have you ever heard of future bass?
Yes. Actually, I have a friend who does like future bass music and bass music in itself. So I would say that's like under EDM.
Okay, and that would be sampling. They would be using.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, because um like there's certain sounds that you can't just make. Like sometimes you need to take a step back to listen to some records and be like, oh, this kind of sounds like a guitar, but it's not really a guitar. It's more of like a keyboard or something. And then you bend the music kind of thing. So you could, I guess you could say that
I
they
like the
have some sampling.
bending idea with tones. And you gotta bring this in. And Manny, this goes back to like modern day technology, like our favorite band embraced Rush.
Yeah.
Um, Pro Tools. Have you guys heard of Pro Tools? So,
Mhm.
Yes.
but Pro Tools, I'm not a fan of Pro Tools personally in rock and roll, but Pro Tools for this kind of music is everything. Because Pro Tools,
Mhm.
one note, bend it, flip it,
Yep.
nine
Yep.
different.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Me, whenever I use Pro Tools in the studio, I only do it for mixing. Like whenever my band would play live, the engineer would be like, "Oh, if I made a mistake, you don't have to go back and fix it. I'll just Pro Tools it." I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm going back and I'm doing it like a human being." So even the singer, it's good. Like if a singer's at a key, they could just hit a little note and boom, they're in key. So it has its benefits and stuff. But for this music, it's actually an instrument. I think. Would you guys agree with that?
I would say yes. I would say
I would say,
yes.
yeah. I would say
Yeah.
it's part of that new technology that I think Pro Tools got an early no late 90s, early 2000s when the
Exactly.
Pro Tools came out and it really opened up doors. And I would say so EDM was already a thing in the 90s, right? You had artists like um
Prodigy.
yeah, Moby with techno. Um so they had acts again. The computer is big because then software is going to start allowing somebody that loves to, mess around with the tone, with the start pulling, deconstructing music,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
I think that's the art of sampling
And
and hip hop is going to evolve as well.
oh yeah, Moby is a great example. The stuff that Moby did in the '90s, I'm a big fan of Moby. Have you ever heard of the Chemical Brothers?
Heard of them.
Yeah, they they,
Nah.
they were good back in the day. Uh, how about Vape?
Oh,
It's Mark.
Cheech,
Yeah,
Mrs. Doubtfire's crept in. We have a minute and a half.
fuck. All right, I'm gonna. All right. Uh, Mark, Vaporwave, dreamy '80s '90s sample.
I would say yes, because that's like a whole subgenre in itself. Like you like when you say like 80s, like early 90s, that's like there's like a whole sound to it, and then it's like more mellow, slowed down kind of thing. So I guess you could say yes.
Okay. Well, and I have one more, but since Mrs. Doubtfire's creeped in, we'll save it. You guys down to do another episode, Manny?
We'll continue. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
All right. And so we'll just wrap this up. And the last genre I love, and we'll save it for the beginning of the next episode.
Mhm.
But, so thank you, Mark, for your knowledge on
Thank
this
you,
stuff.
sir.
And
I
it's
didn't say
crazy
much, but I'm excited for the next one.
how many fucking genres. And I only picked
Bro,
two.
I'm
I
telling
Well,
you, I made a
Cheech, you
list.
Cheech,
oh,
you forgot Britain's trip hop in the 90s.
see. I didn't even go.
Massive Attack. Yeah, like
Massive
What
it
attack.
was actually a blend of
was
hip hop and
acid
house
jazz?
music.
Is acid jazz considered in this genre?
It can be, yeah. So I don't know, Mark, you ever heard trip hop, but that's another
Yes,
genre,
I do
90s.
know.
It
Yeah.
started
Yep.
innovating with that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. It's like I was talking to someone at the temple about this, and it's like death metal. So Mark, here's another one. Breakcore, fast experimental music using punk metal and electronic. Tell me about that one.
I know of it, but I don't necessarily listen to it. I have a couple of friends who are like big on that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of I guess you could say like more upbeat, like crazy BPM music. So I guess, well, I don't know enough about it, obviously, but
Okay,
I guess you could say it's like under EDM, and they do sampling.
and they do sampling. Okay, so I just have a couple artists um, that I'm gonna throw out. Have you ever heard of Barrio?
No, I don't.
Scream,
Yes, I do know Scream.
Soul, and Jazz, which I thought was really cool.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Any opinions on them or?
Well, they're great artists for sure. That's for sure. And you
Okay.
can definitely hear like their own cadences when it comes to their music. Like
Right, right.
they don't necessarily sound alike, but they got their own edges when it comes to their like music style.
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, Banga.
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay. Uh, Rusco,
I do know who that is.
and they
Yes.
use hip hop. They're more on the hip hop side.
More into hip hop side. Yeah, I was just about to say they sample like hip hop stuff.
Right, right. So do you think are they good? Because I
Yeah,
thought they
yeah.
were pretty good.
I would say they're good. Yeah.
Okay. And this is the one, Manny. You'll really like. I like this group a lot. Five Zeds Dread. And why do I like them? Because they're from Canada.
Oh
And
yeah.
who else is from Canada, Manny?
Canada's finest, Rush.
Devontae's favorite band.
Yeah,
They're
shout
a
out to Devontae.
Toronto. Fun fact,
yeah.
Drake is also from Toronto.
Oh yeah. And he knows about Rush, I bet. They're a duo from Canada. And Mark,
Somebody comment below if Drake's if they know if Drake is a Rush fan.
yes, please. He's got to be. If he's from
He's got
Toronto, come on. Who
How
isn't a
would you
Rush?
guys if you guys were to describe Rush in terms of like music style or whatever, how would you describe their music? Like
Cheech, you
It's
go first.
hard. I mean, they go through different phases. I would definitely say they're a prog rock band from the 70s. That's
But
my
wait,
favorite
Mark,
era.
Mark, do you know prog rock? Progressive rock?
I do know progressive rock. I'm not
Okay.
like super into it, but I know of it. Yeah.
Their
Yeah,
famous
progressive.
band is Pink Floyd, if anything. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
like
they're
I would
one of the
agree with that.
famous.
Yeah.
yeah, they would be the most like popular band. Yes, you ever hear of Yes?
Yes.
No pun intended. So
Yeah.
so like it's where the music is complex. There's heavy soloing, heavy
Mhm.
musicianship, and there's themes, concepts.
Best rock
Yes.
music. Like the way I describe Rush is the best rock music. Rock music doesn't get
Oh
better
yeah,
than Rush.
and Rush is kind of like a band that they changed with. We always talk about Rush in these episodes. I love it. They
With the times,
changed
they changed with the times.
and with the
Devontae can catch a
technology,
break.
and with the technology, they even have a rap
Yeah.
in one of their songs.
So you think
Um,
Yep.
Drake is a fan?
Well, if
uh,
somebody, well, Drake, if you're listening, I'm sure he's not. Are you a Rush fan? Come.
maybe
Does
he
Rush
was there. Maybe he was a fan during his Degrassi High years. I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I know. Well, he's from Toronto. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way he
Well, if
grew
you
up
went up
not.
to Drake and you said to him, "Have you ever heard of Rush?" He would definitely say, "Of course I heard of Rush. I'm from Toronto." You
No,
know,
it's like
Devontae.
Drake has to know, for example, what poutine is. If he doesn't know what poutine is, like you're not Canadian.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly,
If he doesn't have a bottle of syrup in his backpack, like are you even Canadian? Like come
exactly.
on.
And the last one was 12 Planet. If you ever heard of them.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. Now you said you had a list. You want to share some of your.
I'm going first.
Wait, are we talking? Oh, I thought you had a list of EDM stuff. Oh, this is your list of samples.
Top five samples like my list.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, we can do
hold
that
on.
first.
Wait, but Cheech, those artists that you were mentioning, those were EDM artists, electric
Yes,
dance
those.
music.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Am I right,
Your
Mark? Or
Yeah.
favorites? Your favorites, Cheech?
my favorites?
No, were they your favorites? The
No, they were
artists.
just ones. They were ones that I liked. That I did my research. Like
They're the
I'm
ones that
not.
stood out.
Okay.
I don't know much about this music. But Mark, well, no, Daft Punk is my favorite. I
I was
would
gonna say
say
Daft Punk. Yeah,
Daft Punk, and you know,
Da
you want
Daft Punk have become iconic.
and I like
arguably like the most famous group, arguably,
you
because
want to
like
talk
the whole
about
sound.
you want to talk about
Mhm.
Daft Punk, Mark?
Well, I don't have like a lot of history with Daft Punk, but I do have a lot of vivid memories like listening to Discovery when I was like a kid.
Same.
And I don't know if you saw like this one like viral video from back in the day where they have this song Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, and then the viral video was like the dude had the lyrics on his fingers and he was just doing like some tutting, like displaying the lyrics of the song. That's how
Wow,
I actually discovered Daft Punk. I was like, "Oh, this sounds dope." And then, it's just a rabbit hole from there around the world, robot rock, all that stuff,
yeah.
just.
Yeah.
And I never even knew that they were French because like when you
Well,
say Daft Punk, it's just like the two robots. That's it.
yeah. No, and bouncing off with what you said, I remember as a kid, I listened to One More Time before I even knew what the song
Great
was.
song, great
Oh
song.
my goodness. This is before
Banger.
before I
They
had a
play
phone.
every day.
No, they do. And it's funny because I'm listening to this song and I'm like, what is this song? Why is it so catchy? And then I discovered their anime music video, which I was like, wait, what's
Uh,
going on here? Like they're strange, but Discovery, I feel as first of all, that's one of the greatest albums of all time.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that
Um,
genre,
every
definitely.
track is 10 out of 10. It's
Oh
one of my
yeah,
favorite albums. Like it's a my rotation, and they're definitely one of the most famous French duos that embrace the art of sampling,
Th-
but
this is
really
gonna
made it
sound.
fun.
This might sound ignorant on my part, but who's the singer? Like who sings one more
So
time? They have special guests come in.
I'm actually not sure, but I think it
that's a good
might be one
question.
of them. I think they
I
use a lot of like vocoding and
Yeah,
like talk box. I think they use that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Is
It's
is
one
that
of
like
them, Cheech.
auto tune? Is that are you
I
talking?
wouldn't say auto tune, more of like you know what a talk box is, right? Like the one with the tube.
Oh, like for the guitar player, like Joe Walsh on
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
they
use a
use that
lot
a
of that
lot.
tech.
Rocky. Like, there's
Yep.
a song called Rocky Mountain Way where he uses that. It's a very unique. I played with a guitar player years ago that had one. It's a very unique thing. Um, so, oh, and what Mark, what you sent to me, you want to share about that video because like I listened to it and how like they took Alan Parson project.
Oh,
That was
wait,
fucking genius.
Cheech, just going back to that, you asked who sang vocals on One More Time.
Yeah,
It's actually a man named Anthony Wayne Moore,
that's what
who's
I.
an
Oh,
American DJ, and he provided the vocals for One More Time and Too Long on Discovery.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
not not to get. I figured it was not to get off the Swedish House Mafia. It was my all-time favorite.
Yes.
All-time favorite. Now they're considered.
They're
They would
super
be
group.
DJing samplers, modern day, right?
I'm surprised that you know them.
Yeah, how do you know them, Cheech? Explain.
Yeah, what do you know about that?
Yo, my boy Cheech dances to Don't You Worry Child in his
I
room.
wouldn't be surprised. Did he freeze?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Cheech, freeze and unfreeze your camera.
I think he disconnected. I don't think I hear
Let me see.
anything from him.
Hold on.
Yeah, dude, you should check out that video I sent on the group thing.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Wait, is that
Yeah.
the
The one more time.
One More Time?
It's
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
like the way they sound, like they process the whole song. It's so simple, but it's so good. Like it really shows
No,
that
dude, no. You
simplicity is
shared it
key.
already.
Did I?
I think so. Oh, you had one with Daft Punk, and yeah, dude, it's pretty cool what they did. Like the
Yeah, yeah,
creativity
yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
Like it's
And
pretty
that
cool.
that kind of goes back to what I said with the whole like taking like music from like pretty much everywhere your childhood or you were at a certain place. Like this song
Yeah,
is big there, and oh, I want to take this, take that,
yeah.
put it into a masterpiece, essentially. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Cheech. Are we still
Oh
on?
man. Yeah, let me send the link again. Hold on. Oh, he's there.
I think he's right there, but I think he hasn't activated it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude. No, but going back to what you said about yeah, that insane like Daft Punk were just I don't know, these two were just geniuses with what they did.
Yeah, they were
Like
just way ahead of their time.
they were too ahead of their time.
They're
But since
literally
we're
Yeah.
like
talking about Daft
robots
Punk,
from the future.
Okay.
literally robots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And you know what's funny? I was telling Chiefs for their album Random Access Memories.
Hmm.
They did, they did this weird. They're weird because they're innovators for EDM, and yet then they reach back to the disco era and
Hmm.
start
Oh yeah.
pulling, and start kind of throwing back things old school,
Well,
which
they
I
had
think they
Nile Rodgers was on that famous
from the
song.
van, yeah, from the Van Cheek.
Yeah,
Get
that's how
lucky.
I kind of got into them because I always thought they were cool because they looked like they always
Robots.
reminded me of the like Sticks, Mr. Roboto. You know that era
Oh
of Sticks?
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
They
I
look like
think.
those
You know,
robots.
Sticks always comes up lately in our episodes. Great band, Sticks, Crystal
Love
Ball.
sticks.
Um,
Uh, by the way, Mr. Roboto, underrated song.
oh yeah, but doesn't it
Dennis
look
Young
like?
got a lot of hate.
Yeah, it was Paradise Theater, right? Was that on
No, no,
Paradise?
that's a great album. No, 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 no. It was
No, well,
Kilroy was
oh,
here.
Kilroy was here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A hated
So
album by the band and a lot of people, but I'll be honest with you, it's not concept's weird, but
yeah,
can't deny Mr. Roboto's a great song.
but it always reminded me of that, like their
Their style,
mask, and it
their
was cool
robots,
that
yeah.
that they would use a mask, and that goes back to like friggin' Kiss, like the
Yeah.
masked musician, and then Marshmello, you know, would would,
Slipknot.
would, would take that
Uh,
Slipknot, yeah.
Dead Mouse.
The
Yeah, Dead
Dead
Mouse.
Mouse,
Yep.
did he wear a mask? I don't.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wore
He
this.
had he had a thing. Yeah.
I thought it was
Oh,
cool.
you ever hear the story about Dead Mouse? I know how true it is. On his
Sure.
how he got his name, and this goes back to our old friend Alan, wherever you are. He's the one from the temple. Mark doesn't know Alan, or maybe he remembers Alan. I don't know, but he
I
turned
think I
me
know
on
who that
to
is.
you know who it is?
I know what he looks like.
Cheech, Allen left the temple, so he's free.
Yeah, yeah. He's a legend. Let's put it that way. And he turned me on to all this stuff, and he was even writing his own music. And he said Dead Mouse's computer wasn't working one day. He wasn't even Dead Mouse. He was like a kid creating this stuff. And he looked underneath the computer, and there was a dead mouse that ate through the line.
That sounds
So
true. I think
that's
that
how he
sounds
got
pretty
his name.
true. Legendary. That's legendary.
Yeah, that's a legendary one. But going back to Daft Punk, I really liked the thing you sent me, uh, Alan Parson Project, ELO, Evil Woman, and Loggins in Messina. How Daft Punk took those songs, and I guess they used Pro Tools, and they made them sound not like those songs, but they kind of did sound like those songs.
Yeah.
And what remember the name of that video if you want to share with the viewers?
I mean, they're all on Tracklib. It's on YouTube. So basically, Tracklib is like it's like a it's like an application where you can find like samples that are already like cleared. You can break down the stems and all that stuff. Like you can take the vocals and all that stuff, instrumentals. So they basically broke down the I don't remember the song that I sent you.
The one I had, and I'm familiar with all these bands. It was an Alan Parson Project, which
Yeah.
was underrated '70s band. They weren't that popular. ELO, which I know Manny likes, right? They were huge,
Huge. I
huge
love
band.
yellow.
There's a song called "Evil Woman,"
Yep.
which I know many of them. Just on a side note,
Yeah,
and
that sounds true.
it's so fucking true that song. And then Loggins in Messina, who were like, oh, if your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. I don't know if you guys know that song. It's Loggins and Messina. They were like soft rock or
I know the soft rock era.
AM radio.
Yep.
So and they took that shit and they made it like fucking I don't know Mark, what the hell did they do to it? They like digitized it to make it sound like
Yeah. It's funny how you mentioned that. I was reading the comments that the song is called Face to Face, where they took like five different songs and then put it all in one like big pot.
Wait,
Someone's
is that a song on their debut album?
It's under Discovery. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
Discovery, and the song is called Face to Face.
Hmm.
So they took like five, like I wouldn't even say like same sounding songs, but they're very different. Like if you listen to each song on its own, it's like how would you even sample this? But somehow they managed to do it. Like they took like snippets of like certain guitar, like the drums, the vocals, whatever. They only used like 2 or 3 seconds for each
And
section and all that, and they
and
made
that
it into a song.
and that goes back to Africa Bambaataa,
Yeah,
his
okay.
technique.
Like the whole layering thing and all that stuff.
And now, do you think these guys like Daft Punk, all the innovators that I talked about earlier, do you think that they studied those guys? Like I would go back and study, Geddy Lee from Rush or Geezer Butler from Sabbath. Would they study the great samplers, or is it just not like that in that world?
Honestly, it's a bit of both. I can say yes, I can say no. I say yes is, going back to what I said, they could have been like listening to that growing up. They heard of it a lot of it. And I also said no because like some producers or like I guess you could say samplers, like they do actual crate digging. Like they dig through crates for records and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like, oh, what's this? Like, let me listen to it. Like, oh, this sounds kind of good. Let me put it on the track. Like, I'm pretty sure I think it was Dr. Dre, where he sampled really like an old song from the 80s or something, and he didn't even like he doesn't know of the artist. He just likes the song on the record. And he did an interview saying like, "Oh, did you know that this guy was actually on a TV show?" He was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I just like his song, so I sampled it." So that's what I meant by yes and no.
Okay. Well, I know Dr. Dre, like a lot of his samples, he knew, like when he was sampling Parliament Funk, P Funk, he would know he like the Chronic. He took the keyboard line from Bernie Worrell,
Yes.
and he would use that a lot on purpose and stuff like that. Uh, so that leads up. I'm glad that you kind of segued into this. Now this could get into lawsuits. So I have a couple of famous lawsuits. James Brown was like he was ruthless. Like he and every right to be. Every right to
Yeah.
be. Like, somebody took my music and was making oodles and oodles of money on it at the time. Lots of money, lots of money. I would sue him too. And this is before and it took years for him to get his money because there weren't any laws yet. This is all new. But these are some not so famous ones, but NWA got sued by Parliament Funkadelic. This is a funny one, and this we didn't talk about this in the rap episode, but this band, remember Two Live Crew?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As nasty as it gets, I think the album was. They
Yeah.
were just like a porno on vinyl, pretty much. I I don't know how they got sued by this guy, Roy Orbison. Manny, do you imagine that?
Give Suva Roy Orbison. That's so rock and roll.
I'm guessing it was Pretty Woman, and they probably put their spin.
Yeah.
Um, James Brown sued Public Enemy,
Yep, I heard about that.
and who else do I got here? Uh, LL Cool J. He got sued, but I don't know. Oh, he got sued by James Brown for the Funky Drummer. And here's a group I used to love, En Vogue. Remember En Vogue?
Oh yeah.
They're a bunch of hot chicks, R&B, I guess they were considered. The Payback, which is a great bass line and a great James Brown song. He sued them, and uh, funk. He sued Sinead O'Connor for using the Funky Drummer. So now James Brown is suing all these dudes. I think he made like it said $5 million maybe per band that he sued.
Jeez.
And here's the messed up thing: the guy who needs to be known for the most sampled rap ever,
Hmm.
and Sinead O'Connor sampled them. The Funky Drummer, Clyde Stubblefield. The guy invented that beat that is used in every hip hop song. So Clyde Stubblefield, I don't know if he's still alive, but thank you. You are the man. You're the man. You're the Funky Drummer. And here's the thing: you could not put a copyright on a drum beat. So James Brown basically, I think he fucked him. I don't think he gave him any money, on it was James Brown's music, but when they started to say, all right, forget you, James Brown, we're just going to use the drums. Stubblefield went to the rappers and said, you can use my drums. I can't sue you guys, but throw me a bone. And I think a lot of those guys felt bad, and they threw Clyde Stubblefield the bone, who had like no career at that point, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so
wild.
could you imagine being Clyde Stubblefield? You're just making up a drum beat in the 60s, and then like 2 decades later, it becomes the most sampled famous drum beat in hip hop history.
Well, you know what's funny about that, and just going back to that, the rock bands sampling, guitar riffs or whatever bass lines from like even older music. I mean, that's James Brown, who was well versed in the music of his time. Essentially, that's what he did. The only issue is that by suing, he's kind of like a big hypocrite. At the same time, it's like, dude.
Yeah,
So
he stole.
it's just really, yeah, it's just murky.
Yeah, James Brown stole from the blues.
That's true.
Stole
I would say
from.
so.
I don't think there was any real funk before James Brown. He invented his own kind of funk, but he definitely stole from somebody. Everybody does. Everybody's
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that's how you become an original artist. You just put it into your own thing. So how's Mrs. Doubtfire? Because I feel like this is moving pretty fast.
We're still good. We're still good.
Okay. So we got to the lawsuits. We covered a lot on the modern stuff. So want to talk about our favorite samples? Pick 5 of them, and then I told the Devontae when he comes on that he's gonna
our boy Curtis.
Yeah, he's gonna talk about his favorite samples and give us his opinion, and then tell us who he uses as samples. So who wants to start with their favorite samples? And this could be rap, this could be all the modern stuff that we talked about. I have so many, it's ridiculous.
Honestly, I have a lot too, but I tried to filter it down to 5.
I have a lot too.
You could go past 5, and then eventually we'll kind of do like what Eddie Trunk used to do on that metal show. We'll put it into our top 5. We'll get Devontae's input in there on the next episode too. So
should we just go? We'll go like this, and just share. What do you think?
Yeah. Whoever wants to go.
Okay. I'll go first really quick since I'm not because I really never thought too much about sampling, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so I'll start off with we mentioned this guy in a rap episode, Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
And you may be surprised that his iconic song Redbone, released in 2016, makes use of a sample from the song called I'd Rather Be With You, which was a 1976 song from Bootsy's Rubber Band, a collaborative project between Funkadelic and Parliament, led by none other than the bassist Bootsy Collins. Now,
Bootsy Collins, I was just about to say.
Bootsy Collins.
I'm a fan of Bootsy.
So I will say just when Gambino released his song Redbone, oh my goodness, I completely fell in love with it. Have you heard of it,
Cheech?
Cheech? I think we talked about it.
Yeah,
they used it in the movie Get Out. Mark, Get Out.
Of
Remember?
course.
Yeah.
Iconic opening. I'm just like, whoa.
You just opened up a can of worms with Bootsy Collins. Now, Bootsy is one of the funkiest bass players on the planet. He used an effect, going back to, talking about effects, called a Mutron. And it gave the bass this kind of like,
that's the sound on the song too, because the song begins like bam, bam, bam. Yes, it has like the nice kind of like groove. Jeez, see, I didn't even know who he was. I just love that song.
He was James Brown's bass player.
Oh my goodness! So we're we're kind of going in circle. We're going in circle right now. I love it.
His brother was a guitar player, and this is when James got funky, like Sex Machine, like 1968. So Catfish Collins was his brother who played guitar, and Bootsy was like fucking 15 or 16 years old when he played James Brown, and then Bootsy to his own identity, and he got like spaced out, looking like what funkadelic and stuff. One of the funkiest bass players all time is Bootsy Collins. Got to show him love. He is so.
Yeah, big shout outs to Bootsy because he helped form the group Silk Sonic. I don't know if you guys know that.
No, I did not know.
No.
Yeah, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. He technically birthed Silk Sonic.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Did he?
Oh
Did
my
he play
goodness. So we're getting.
And he's on the album too. He's on like 3 or 4 tracks.
He's the fucking man, Bootsy Collins, man. There's
So just icons, similar to Nile Rodgers from Cheek. Just
yeah,
icons.
and you got to throw in Bernard Edwards from Chic because Sugar Hill Gang. That's
Yeah.
baseline. Yeah, of course. So good. We're throwing some bass players in there. Some great bass players.
Yeah. So now,
Yeah,
Mark.
you would know a thing about that, huh?
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Cheech has mentioned this bass player. So as soon as I saw his name, I was wait, where have I heard his name before? Heard his name before somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right, so this is this is on top of my list, and Manny said that he was gonna put it on his list as well. It's "Stronger" by Kanye West.
Love that song. I was just listening to I went out for a run before this video. Dude, that song slaps.
Yes. So the song "Stronger" is made by Kanye West. It was produced by Kanye West and Mike Dean, and there's other people as well. See, like I wrote down notes, bro. I was ready for this podcast. I'm telling you,
Dude, you're gonna be like we're gonna have a continued segment. You're gonna be one of the co-hosts.
So he sampled Daft Punk, and then the song "Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger." That's like
Yep.
the whole like basis of the song. Like he raps over the song essentially, and then he added his own synths, all the guitars, the bass, obviously, all that stuff. And a fun fact about Stronger, so when he was making that song, he manually had to isolate the vocals from the original song, the Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. And when the song was mastered and finalized, he found out that there was an actual recording of just the vocals of the song.
Oh wow.
And I think Mike Dean was like, "So do you want to do it all over again?" It was, it's like my labor of love. So we'll just keep this.
Well, you know what's interesting now? I could be wrong. Now, was that track? Did Daft Punk had a physical hand in producing that track as well, Mark? Do you know?
I don't think so. I could be wrong
Okay.
because the part that he uses most in that song is like second half of the original song. You know how like in
Okay.
Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, like
Yeah.
the second half of the song like goes a little bit faster.
Right.
That's like the whole basis of Kanye's track. So yeah, that's me.
And I will say just really quick, and then Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, which is the Daft Punk song that Kanye sampled, the keyboard riff was sampled from a 1979 track called Cola Bottle Baby by the funk musician Edwin Birdsong. So again, we're going back to funk,
Just
back
going
to
back
funk.
to like the roots.
Yeah, it's
That's
just crazy how things are full circle and Kanye's like complete in like full circles.
And also about Kanye, I wrote down the song, but I forgot. What's the one where he sampled Ray Charles?
Oh, I Got a Woman. That's Gold Digger.
Gold Digger.
Yeah.
I was gonna put that on my list, but that's
and
like,
he had Jamie Foxx sang the a version of the Ray Charles.
That's got to be up there, man. That is
amazing.
For sure.
That's the way you do it right.
You know what's crazy? Because like I'm a big fan. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Kanye, and I'm a big fan
Same.
of Jamie Foxx. So it was just like perfect timing because at that time Jamie Foxx just won an award for doing the biopic for Ray Charles. And
that's right. That's right.
Who's the best person to do the vocals? Jamie Foxx for the song.
Anybody who has not seen that movie, see that movie. It's genius. Ray Charles.
Great movie.
Ray Charles. Great movie.
Wow. I have an interesting one. I don't know if it's my favorite. I can't really pick a favorite. I do have a favorite. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna give you two. My favorite one is why can't I think of the name of it right now? Root Down by the Beastie Boys. Now, have you ever heard Root Down? It's old Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith was once again an old funk, blues, R&B keyboard player, and they used the bass line. I don't even know the guy's name. He was just Jimmy Smith's bass player. It's called Root Down. It's the nastiest, funkiest sample ever. Now this one, I think you might find interesting, Manny. A
Go.
Tribe Called Quest.
Ooh, yeah, don't get me started.
Can we can we kick it? They use "Walk on the Wild Side" by Lou
Oh
Reed.
man.
And
Can we talk about
Wow.
we kind of bypassed A Tribe Called Quest and what they did in sampling jazz music, which and the way they did it was so amazing because jazz music is sometimes inaccessible.
oh
So
yeah,
I love jazz music, but the way A Tribe Called Quest did, especially I don't know who had a hand in producing those records. Yeah, just how they sampled, famous blues riffs and
yeah.
blue bass lines, just
Well, I think and using "Walk on the Wild Side," which
that's amazing.
iconic bass line. I'm going for
Mm.
So
bass,
iconic.
iconic bass line. And I don't know if they put the doops in there. I don't remember, but it's amazing. And then there's a DJ. You talk about jazz. He was obscure back in the early millennial. He was popular. I think he's French. DJ Solar. He only sampled jazz and mostly Miles Davis.
Huh.
So check him out. He was really interesting. I mean, I could go on. I mean, if you want to talk about just samples for the sake of being genius, and I'm going to say genius because they were so popular. MC Hammer. You can't touch this. I mean, Super Freak. Come on.
Yeah,
That,
that's true.
even I'm gonna say it. Devontae, don't get mad. I'm gonna say it. Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. Everybody,
Queen.
Wait, what did he sample?
Queen. Queen,
Queen,
right?
Queen, and David Bowie.
Which
Under
Under
pressure,
pressure.
under pressure. So he tried to get away with saying he took a beat out, but Queen well, it was Queen. John Deacon, the bass player, who's a genius bass player from Queen, was like, "Oh no, we're not going. You didn't take a beat out. You stole my bass line," and they sued. They sued him, of course. So I mean, but just the idea of those iconic songs.
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm gonna go and crank that shit up in my car. Hell no. But like, it's genius what it is.
Can we be honest though? We all cranked
Oh
Ice
yeah,
Ice
for sure.
Baby in our cars.
For sure.
Depends on how much alcohol we had
Of
in
course.
us.
Collaborate and listen. Come on, man.
Listen, iconic line.
I liked also MC Hammer. "We Pray When Doves Cry." I know if
Oh,
you.
he
Ooh,
sampled. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
damn.
you know,
That's new to me.
yeah. Check that out. That's a great.
I'll listen to that. Oh,
Um.
so Chief, just a heads up, Mrs. Doubtfire, 5 minutes. It's crept in.
Okay. So yeah, so we talked about our favorite samples. And we were all over the map from the digital age now.
Yeah.
So right now in 2024, Mark, like I'm way out of this, sampling thing. What's going on with sampling? What's the state of sampling right now?
Um, Unfortunately, it's kind of dying because this kind of goes back to what Manny said, where he's like, to what point do we consider it sampling? Is it sampling or is it stealing? Because like, there's some certain artists like these days, like they just take the whole song, get rid of the vocals from the old song, and then they just put
Yep.
their own stuff on top of it. Like, it just shows like laziness. But like,
Well,
don't get me
Mark,
wrong. There's
wait, Mark,
yeah, yeah,
sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt you. So someone
No, no.
and Cheech will not know this artist, Dua Lipa. A lot of her songs are
Yes.
rip-offs of
Yes.
classic tunes. Now, is she
I,
doing this on purpose?
does she
Huh?
do "I'm Blue"? You know that song "I'm Blue"?
No, 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 no. I know what you're talking about, Cheech. That's
Oh
not
no,
her. No,
no.
Okay,
it's
okay.
not.
And don't get me
So,
wrong, her music slaps. Like, don't get me
oh
wrong, it's
yeah,
good music. But the problem is, you start
slaps.
listening to some of the samples and if I don't know if that would be sampling, but her producers are definitely taking
Well,
grooves and riffs and
yeah. Well, this is what I know about Dua Lipa. I think she doesn't actually write her own songs.
sounds about right.
She's like going like she's doing like a Rihanna, because you know how like most of Rihanna's songs she didn't write it,
Yep,
but she
yep,
knows how to perform it. So
yep.
I can't necessarily like talk bad about Dua, because that's where the money is, and you got
Yeah, yeah,
writers, you
yeah.
know.
Now
So yeah,
I just have a question. Like that song, Mark, I'm talking about "I'm Blue."
yeah.
Oh, I
It's an
love that
old,
song. Wait, is that the 90s song?
yeah, but
Yes.
some girl took it
I
and
think
she,
it's baby Rexa or something like that.
whatever
Bebe.
Oh,
she did
wait a minute. Does that play in the temple?
all the time.
Yes.
You
Oh gosh, you know what's
love
funny,
it.
Mark? That's so funny how you mentioned that because I was hearing that song and in my head I'm like, I'm blue about it. Wait a minute, what the hell am
But
I listening to?
she's not saying I'm blue.
Wait, is that David Guetta, Mark?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like this is what
talk
we were
about.
talking about, Cheese, like the whole interpolation thing.
That I like that. I mean, is that stealing? Like you're taking a song and you're just
Well, that's the issue.
like,
Ultimately, that's the issue. But you know what's funny? If rock music, I guess, sampled from jazz, blues, whatever,
yeah,
pop music, is heavily since most of it's produced. And Mark said something really smart and cool that a lot of these producers, they're gonna go grave digging. They're
yeah,
they're not creative enough to come up with their own melodies or whatever. But at the
not.
same time, if you can pay homage, I mean, it's just tricky.
I think that I'm blue though is stealing. She's singing the melody to the
No,
song,
I'm
and
like, dude,
I
yeah,
think it says I'm blue in it, right? Does she in the chorus or
no,
no?
She's singing her own lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
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 And it's the same fucking melody, so she had to get permission to
Oh,
use.
for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be out unless they're cool with the peoples, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
well, that band, whoever I forgot what they were named, the '90s group, they're a one-hit wonder, so I'm sure they weren't complaining.
but
We
that
gotta.
Yeah, they're
dude,
getting their money for
well,
sure.
you have no idea how popular it was. Actually, the 2000s, and you don't know how popular that. And the crazy thing about it was, and I was working at the temple.
Wait, Cheech, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute.
They were playing the original on Blue, and I'm sitting here only later going, "Fuck, this is like deja vu," you know. But Mark, thank you for being on our show.
I'm a fan.
A lot of good knowledge I learned from you.
I'm a
And
fan. Yeah, we still got a list. We got to
oh,
You know
go
what's
through
funny?
this.
Just really quick, next episode we gotta invite Mark back in and keep going through the list. I like this where we
I'm
share
a
our.
fan. I'm a
yeah,
fan. I'm a big fan of the show. Like, like
you.
right now, listening to you guys, I'm like, wait, am I listening to the show? Or oh, I forgot, I'm a guest.
And we didn't bring up Anne Rand or Crowley the whole time. Wow.
We did it. Now we were close to bringing up Ayn Rand. We were there, but we ran out of time.
Yeah. But all right. So before we shut off, thank you, Manny. Thank you, Mark. And then next
I'm a
episode,
fan.